Hey, what's up everyone? Tim here, and what you're about to watch is a video that I put together as I've done a collaboration with the History Channel and their TV show, The Selection. So basically, here's the background. The History Channel contacted me and said, would you be interested in promoting our television show, The Selection? So I looked into what the show was about, definitely dig the concept, and so I said, yeah, what does it look like for us to partner? What they did is they sent me a mission. And that mission I had to carry out was basically a challenge to push me outside of my comfort zone. And the topic that I chose and that they sent to me was bravery. As we jump in here, I just want to share one quick thought on that word bravery. So bravery is the topic that I'm going to be challenged by. I'm going to be stepping outside of my comfort zone a bit. But really, as I thought about that word more and more, my conclusion is this: bravery has been shown by the guys who are running the selection process. Former Green Berets, Navy SEALs, elite warriors who went out there and put their lives on the line. And people today, like folks in law enforcement, military, emergency responders, those are the type of people who are really showing bravery just in their day-to-day job. They have to do that. So for me to push myself into bravery, yeah, it's a challenge. It's outside of my comfort zone, but using that word bravery for me was even a bit challenging because I'm like, those guys are the brave ones. I'm just kind of pushing myself outside my comfort zone. So I just wanted to take a minute and acknowledge that word bravery, because what I'm about to do is going to be challenging, uncomfortable, push me outside my comfort zone. But bravery, man, that's really a word I would want to reserve for people like the guys who are running the show. And again, people are putting their lives on the line every day to serve and to protect. So I got this card sent to me from the History Channel. They said, do something that requires bravery, but that isn't dangerous. So I'm asking people around my office, I'm asking family, friends, what's something that requires bravery, but isn't dangerous? I had one friend tell me like walking on ice for her that's really requires bravery for her because she's fallen through the ice a couple times. For me, not so much. I went to the pet store and I was like, well, maybe like handling a tarantula or something, that would freak me out a little bit. But even that, I wasn't so nervous about it. So what I finally concluded was this: I generally don't like being in small spaces where I can't get out. And so for my challenge, what I'm going to do is push myself outside my comfort limits by climbing into the trunk of my car and closing myself in there for half an hour. Now, you may be aware that on multiple episodes of The Selection, there's times when the people who are actually on the show are in boxes. And so my experience is going to be different than theirs, but it's going to kind of correlate to theirs a little bit. I don't want to be in confined spaces. I'm 6'2", I'm a big guy. So this is going to push me outside my comfort zone. Let's head out to my car and jump into it. All right, guys, my car here. It's my Honda Civic. I'm going to climb into the trunk. I've got a flashlight with me so I can shoot video. I'll have my video camera and then some gloves to stay warm. But here we go. Close it up. All right, so I'm in the trunk. You can see my light is on. I'm just doing that for these brief video sessions, and I'll turn it off and go straight to total darkness. It is quite cramped, and yeah, so 30 minutes. We're about a minute in. All right, so I'll check in a little bit. All right, I've been in for about 5 minutes here, and yeah, I have to have the trunk open up because there's like no airflow in here. So I don't know exactly what they did with the boxes, like the boxes that they were in on the show, if they had like holes in them for air, but this one is like, this thing feels airtight to me, which it probably should be because you don't want water to get in. But yeah, so I got to crack the trunk at least a little bit. Still very confined here, but yeah, I got to be able to breathe. That's going to be important. All right, 5 minutes in. All right, I'm 15 minutes in. And just got a lot of respect for anybody who's got to sit in a box for a long time. So yeah, this is definitely not what I would call fun. I'm jotting down some observations just in some notes. And there's not a whole lot to see, but kind of where my mind is, where my body is as I go through this. All right, so we're halfway, and we'll check back in at probably 25 minutes. And then talk about it once we get out. All right, so I'm checking in a little early. It's about 17 minutes in, but I just noticed that my trunk has an emergency release latch, so I have totally shut the trunk again. But it is weird. Obviously, I want to have air. I don't want to pass out. That's a bad situation. But just knowing that there's that release there makes you feel just totally different versus the guys who are in the box on the selection. You don't know when you're going to get out, or how long you're going to be there or whatever. So that the mental side of it, certainly the physical side of it, I'm cramped. This is a small space for somebody who's 6'2". but the mental side of it probably is even more. All right, I'll check back in a little bit. How about that awkward moment when you're in the trunk of your car and you can hear the mailman walking up the steps to your house about 15 feet away? Yeah, it's awkward. It has been half an hour, and I'm about to hop out here. I probably sound pretty calm, but I could see how this would just do just a number on your brain, on your emotional state, your mental state, when you're actually stuck in a box like this for who knows how long. So what I'll do is I'll get out now, and then I'll give you the final kind of thoughts and wrap up in a more comfortable place. All right, let's do that. So there you have it, my experience of being in the car trunk for half an hour. What I want to do now is offer you 6 reflections as I thought about the experience. But first, I just want to acknowledge the difference between my experience and the experience of the people on the selection. So for the people on the selection, they're tired mentally, physically, emotionally. They're hungry. They've been pushed, to a pretty intense process for a handful of days, and now they're sitting in a box. So my experience was, do what I had to do in the morning, set the scenario up, climb into the trunk, climb out, and I'm done. So mentally, the stress going into that for me was very low versus for them was very high. However, I was intrigued by kind of the overlap between their experience and mine as far as the mental and physical things that can start to happen even in a short amount of time. So let me offer you these 6 reflections. First, I'll tell you when I climbed in, I felt fine. I thought I'll just chill and then I'll be out in half an hour. Second thing is that after I felt fine, about 3 minutes in, I started to go, do I have enough air? I'm kind of feeling lightheaded and started to get a little nervous about that. So I called my wife. I had my phone with me, had her come open up the trunk just so I had like a little crack so I could let some air in. Now immediately that changes the scenario because I could just open up the trunk at any time and climb out versus on the selection, you're like, hey, I got to get out of the box. Show's pretty much over. You're basically going to get sent home. So there is a difference between their experience and my experience. The third thing I'll mention is just that boredom kicked in. You're just sitting there, and I was only there for half an hour and kind of like, okay, what am I going to do? Looking around, but it's dark. You can't really see anything, and you're like, well, okay, I'm just going to hang out. The fourth thing I'll mention was leg cramping. So I'm 6'2", and being in that tiny little space, the trunk of my car, I could start to feel my legs get tight, and then it became not just a physical thing, but a mental thing. I was like, when are they going to cramp? When are they really going to hurt? You start to anticipate that. And so that starts to become not just a physical stress, but a mental stress, which feeds back to the physical stress. The fifth thing I'll mention is that when that trunk was shut and I was in total darkness, that is a weird experience. To feel the presence of the walls of the trunk right around you, and you're like, okay, I can't see it, but I know I'm in a very confined space. That does start to kind of mentally do things to you, and you're like, okay, this is a little bit freaky. The sixth thing I'll mention is that my plan going in was I'll just kind of close my eyes and rest, and then every 5 minutes, take out my flashlight, film myself, and then rest again. But mentally, your mind just starts going and going and going, and you're like, okay, I'm not really able to just kind of chill out and do nothing, and be fine with it. You start to get a little bit amped up. So I want to give some serious props to the folks who are on the selection, who are in the box for any amount of time. And then beyond that, just major props and a shout out to all those guys operating at that high level in the military where they have to go through training where they're put into isolation like that and have those, those confined experiences happening again and again to train you to be able to respond if you do get, captured, you're behind enemy lines, something like that. I cannot even imagine the training they have to go through to be ready and prepared to see if they can actually handle it and to know how to handle it, because half an hour for me was certainly not terrible, but it definitely wasn't enjoyable either. I will tell you, this has pressed me to want to press in a little bit more. So I think I may try that challenge again sometime in the future just to do it and to say I was locked in that trunk for a full half an hour, with it unopened, no light, nothing whatsoever. I do want to push myself beyond my comfort zone, even what I did today. All right, that's it for me. Anything you want to know about the TV show The Selection or anything else about the History Channel, you can just click that Show More tab and use the links down below. Thanks for watching the video. Take care.